Okay, so this is 10:37 at the night and এখন critical reasoning করার সময়. Today I streamed test to GK and it was pretty good. Okay, let's start yapping. 31 number থেকে স্টোর. Okay. Our company's two divisions performed with remarkable consistency over the past 3 years. In each of these years, the pharmaceuticals division has accounted for roughly 20% of dollar sales and 40% of profit, and the chemical division for the balance. Regarding the past 3 years, which of the following can properly be inferred from the statement above? Remarkable consistency over past 3 years. Pharmaceutical divisions has accounted for roughly has accounted for roughly 20% of dollar sales and 40% of profit, and chemical division for the balance. Total dollar sales for each of the company's division have remained roughly constant. The pharmaceutical division has faced stiffer competition in its market than has the chemical division. The chemical division has realized low profits per dollar of sales than has the pharmaceutical divisions. The product mix offered by each of the company's division has remained unchanged. Highly profitable products accounted for a higher percentage of chemical division sales than of pharmaceutical divisions. Okay, this is pretty rough. Constant. Total dollar sales for each of the company's division have remained roughly constant. The pharmaceuticals division has faced stiffer competition in its market than has the chemical division. প্রথমত লাস্ট 3 বছর ধরে দুইটা ডিভিশনই রিমার্কেবল কনসিস্টেন্সিতে পারফর্ম করতেছে. তো এখানে যে বলছে কেমিক্যাল ডিভিশন হ্যাজ রিয়েলাইজড total dollar sales for each of the company's divisions have remained roughly consistent. তো এখানে in these years ফার্মাসিউটিক্যালে হচ্ছে 20% dollar sales, 40% of profit. अरे बैलेंस है. D number valid में highly profitable products accounted for a higher percentage of chemical division sales than of pharmaceutical divisions. এরকম কিছু বলে নাই. Chemical division has realized lower profits per dollar of sales than has the pharmaceutical divisions. Chemical divisions for the balance. The pharmaceutical division has faced stiffer competition in its markets than has the chemical divisions. I think we have to go total. I'll go with the total A. Uh, the chemical division has realized lower profits. अच्छा এটা explanation করতে হবে 3 মিনিট 28 সেকেন্ড লাগছে. Company's two division performed with remarkable Okay. এখানে আবার কি ভিডিওস আছে, let's check out the videos with sound of GMAT. Okay, that is just তাহলে profits per dollar is equal to 60 and 400. Company's two division performed with remarkable consistency over the past 3 years. আচ্ছা 20% যদি ফার্মাসিউটিক্যাল নিয়ে থাকে তাহলে 80% গোজ টু দ্য কেমিক্যাল ডিভিশন, আর ব্যালেন্স হচ্ছে 40% and 60%। এখন 80% সেলস করার পরে দে আর গেইনিং দ্য 60% প্রফিট, ওয়ারেস ওরা 20% ডলার সেলসে 40% প্রফিট আনতেছে। সো কোশ্চেন ছিল let me see, I took so much time but আমি কোনো ক্যালকুলেশন করি নাই, I was trying to assume stuff, তো যেটার কারণে আসলে এইখানে 1 minute 45 সেকেন্ড was the standard আর 20% রং করছে, but I took double of everything। আচ্ছা যেটা ক্যালকুলেশনে দেখা যেতেছে যে okay factory net stands out division generates more profit for every dollar of sales than C division. Let me first explain what profit per dollar of sales means. Profit per dollar of sales means in the essence it measures the profitability of a company. It means that if a company generates $1 of sales, how much profit does it generate? It profits per dollar of sales, profit per dollar of sales. So let's say that generates profit it আচ্ছা তো এখানে প্রফিট পার ডলার সেলস কেমিক্যাল একটা কম আসছে আর ফার্মাসিউটিক্যাল একটা বেশি আসছে, তো এটাই বেসিক্যালি ইট ওয়াজ এ ম্যাথ প্রবলেম। প্রথম কোয়েশ্চেন took us almost 21 minutes in the stream, which is really time wasting। এরপরে এগুলো প্রত্যেকটা মেবি 25% ডিফিকাল্টি লেভেল ক্যারি করবো, সো আই হ্যাভ টু বি ভেরি ভেরি কেয়ারফুল। লেটস সি এটার ডিফিকাল্টি লেভেল কত, 5%। ওকে let's start. The Eurasian rafe, a fish species inadvertently introduced into North America's Great Lakes in recent years, feeds on the eggs of lake whitefish and native species, thus threatening the lake's natural ecosystem. To help track the rough's spread, government agencies have produced wallet-sized cards about the rough. The cards contain pictures of the rough and explain the danger they pose. The cards also request anglers to report any roughs they catch. Which of the following, if true, would provide most support for the prediction that the agency's action will have its intended effect? The rough has spiny fins that make it unattractive as prey. Rough generally fed at night, but most recreational fishing on the Great Lake is done during daytime hours. Most people who fish recreationally on Great Lakes are interested in the preservation of lakes whitefish because it is a highly prized game fish. So ওরা যদি এটাতে হয়, Raff is one of the several native species in the lake whose existence threatens the survival of lake whitefish population there. The bait that most people use when fishing for whitefish on the lake is not attractive to ram. আচ্ছা unattractive as prey. So যেহেতু এখানে সব রকম কিছু আছে at night most people who fish recreationally of the lake might fish because it is highly priced here. Okay, so I'm going with A. What? আচ্ছা আমি এটা ভাবছিলাম যে হোয়াইট ফিশ যেহেতু রাখে হোয়াইট ফিশ রাখলে যেহেতু হাইলি প্রাইস গেম ফিশ আছে এটা দেখতে গেলে ওরা রাফও পাবে এখন হচ্ছে আইডেন্টিফাইং what you're trying to strengthen because answer do exactly opposite of what is needed. They weaken the argument. Because of their direct relation to the conclusion, their attractive answers false, despite the fact they result in consequences opposite of this intent. Shell game answers. Remember, a shell game occurs when an idea or concept is raised in the stimulus and then a very similar idea appears in the answer choice. And the idea is changed just enough to be incorrect but still attractive. In strengthen question, the shell game is usually used to support a conclusion that is similar to but slightly different from the one presented in the stimulus. So this question asks you to provide support for the prediction. So this is the strength argument. R bad for legs. Track R cars to end. Report if cats harm. So that type of the Rasa spray does not affect whether the plan to track the rifle will work. The sensor present information that make the plan less likely to work. Fishermen tend this information makes the plan more people who care about preserving the lake. They are more likely to take time and effort to report area for the catch. So this is going to give the plan efforts of migrants this way that is not attractive to the migrants will not catch very well. Also present to the lake. This and this will not very attractive around so this action so we can start to I got it. I got really it. Back to back দুইটাই ভুল হয়েছে horrible mistakes but I'll keep doing okay এটা কত কেন আমি এটা দেখতে গেলাম দেখতে যেতে এখন একটু ভয়ই লাগতেছে বাট অ্যাভারেজ টাইম হচ্ছে 153 এবং advertisement. Today's customer expect high quality. Every advance in the quality of manufactured products raise customer expectation. The company that is satisfied with the current quality of its product will soon find that its customers are not. At mega corp, meeting or exceeding customer expectation is our goal. Meeting or exceeding expectation is our goal. ওরা মনে করতেছে এটা স্যাটিসফাইড উইথ দ্য কারেন্ট কোয়ালিটি কিন্তু of its product will soon find that its customers are not. What of the following must be true on the basis of the statement in the advertisement above? Raise customer expectation. আচ্ছা এটা বলছে quality of manufactured products raises customer expectation. Mega corps competitors will succeed in attracting customers only if those competitors adopt mega corps goals as their own. Okay, a company that does not correctly anticipate the expectation of its customer is certain to fail. Acha, which of the following must be true on the basis of the statements in the advertisement above? Statement গুলা কি কি দিছে তো বলছে A company does not correctly anticipate the expectation of its customer is certain to fail in advancing the quality of their products. The Megacop's goal is possible to meet only if continuing advances in product quality are possible. What will decline? এটা তো ওরা বলে নাই বেসিক্যালি, ওরা হচ্ছে মিট করার চেষ্টাই করতেছে। মেগাকপস কাস্টমার্স আর কারেন্টলি স্যাটিসফাইড উইথ দ্য কোয়ালিটি অফ ইটস প্রোডাক্ট। দ্য কোম্পানি দ্যাট ইজ স্যাটিসফাইড উইথ দ্য কারেন্ট its customers are not. So Mega's goal is possible to meet only if continue advancing its product quality are possible. And to meet goal is possible to meet only if continuing advances in product quality are possible. Success in attracting customers only if they competitors are. I'm going with A. ভাবছিলাম সি হবে, এটা তো সবচেয়ে লিস্ট পার্সেন্টেজ ভাই। ভাই এটা তো খুবই বাজে পারফরমেন্স করলাম আমি, খুবই বাজে। খুবই ইজি ছিল। আল্লাহ দ্যাট ওয়াজ দ্য মোস্ট হরিফাইং মিস্টেকস অ্যাবাউট ইট। প্রথম তিনটাই ভুল গেছে। আই ডোন্ট নো হোয়াটস গোয়িং উইথ মি। সেন্টেন্স কারেকশনও বাজে অবস্থা, এটাতেও বাজে অবস্থা। মেবি নাও আই এম getting the real at least this time I have to my percentage dropped to 51%. Low. Most logically complete the argument. Farber syndrome, a viral disease that frequently affects cattle, is transmitted to these animals through infected feed. Even though chickens commercially raised for meat are often fed the type of feed identified as the source of infection in cattle, Farber syndrome is only rarely observed in chickens. The fact, however, does not indicate that most chickens are immune to the virus that causes Farber syndrome, since বেসিক্যালি একটা ভাইরাল ডিজিজ ফারবার সিনড্রোম, যেটা ফ্রিকুয়েন্টলি ক্যাটেলদেরকে এফেক্ট করতেছে। ইজ ট্রান্সমিটেড টু দিস অ্যানিমালস থ্রু ইনফেক্টেড ফিড। আচ্ছা, ইনফেক্টেড ফিড, যে খাবারটা দিতেছে এটা ইনফেক্টেড। ইভেন তো চিকেন্স কমার্শিয়ালি রেইজড ফর মিট আর অফেন ফেড দ্য টাইপ অফ ফিড আইডেন্টিফাইড বাই দ্য সোর্স অফ ইনফেকশন ইন ক্যাটল। আচ্ছা, ফারবার সিনড্রোম ইজ only rarely observed in chicken. চিকেনরা অত হইতেছে না। This fact, however, does not indicate that most chickens are immune to the virus that causes, since chicken and cattle are not the only kinds of farm animals that are typically fed the type of feed liable to the contaminated with the virus that causes. Farber syndrome has been found in animals that have not been fed the type of feed liable to the contaminated with the virus that can cause the disease. Resistance, since resistance to some infectious organisms such as the virus that can be acquired by exposure to a closely related infectious organism. মানে অল অফ দ্য অপশনস আর টু কনফিউজিং এবং এত বড় বড় অপশন দিয়ে রাখছে। বলছে চিকেনরা রেয়ারলি অবজার্ভ করা হয়েছে রেজিস্ট্যান্স টু সাম ইনফেকশাস। আচ্ছা এটা তো বলে নাই। The type of feed liable to the infected with the virus that causes first syndrome generally constitutes a I have no idea which was it. The fact does not indicate that most chickens are immune to the virus that causes sins. Resistance to some infections. The C number দিয়ে দিলাম but answer D. D. Chickens and cattle take more than a year to show symptoms of Farber's syndrome, and chickens commercially raised for meat, unlike cattle, are generally brought to market during the first year of life. তো এটা লজিক্যাল লাগতেছে বাট এই ইয়ার টু শো সিমটমস ফারভার এটা কই বলা আছে ওয়ার ইজ দ্য ইনফেক্টেড আচ্ছা মানে কি বলছে দ্য আর্গুমেন্ট স্টেট দ্যাট পোটেন্সিয়ালি ইনফেক্টেড চিকেন্স which are turned into feed for cattle do not test positive for Farber's disease, yet the cattle still become infected. What could account for this discrepancy? Well, if the chickens are infected but are asymptomatic, does not outwardly manifest itself, then such occurrence would help explain why cows become infected by chicken feed. Provided an explanation. Diseases take more than a year to show any outward signs in infected animals, since most chickens that are turned into chicken feed are less than a year old never has a chance to manifest. I'm shattered, man. It's down to 50%. I think. Down to 51. It will after answering 35. Money, today's stream is a complete failure, man. Complete failure. The fuck. I wasted 40 minutes answering 4 questions. Difficult level देखा मैंने 35%, so it's maybe not so much. Last year the rate of inflation was 1.2%, but for the current year it has been 4%. We can conclude that inflation is on an upward trend and the rate will be still higher next year. अच्छा कोंडा उससे seriously weakens the conclusion about. Inflation figures were computed on the basis of a representative sample of economic data rather than all of the available data. Last year, a dip in the oil price brought inflation temporarily below its recent stable annual level of 4%. The increase in the pay of some workers are tied to the level of inflation, and at an inflation rate of 4% or above, this pay raise constitute a force causing further inflation. Low. The government, the 1.2% rate of inflation last year represented a 10-year low. Government intervention cannot affect the rate of inflation to any significant degree. I think so এটা A হবে. I'm just going with it. But এটার answer B. B. He said last year a dip in the oil price brought inflation temporarily below its recent stable annual level of 4%. Last year a dip of তাহলে আরো কমবে. Dude, I am shattered, man. I'm shattered. I'm so the inflation figure were computed on the basis of representative sample of economic data rather than all the available data. Need to be attacked is the result. Upward trend, not the method. Economic data versus all available data. Regularly the inflation rate is 4%. Last year inflation rate is only the temporary case, so the comparison between the last year's inflation rate to the current year's does not reflect the overall trend, weakens the conclusion. Ah man. Today was a disappointment, complete disappointment. I think I should stop at 35 because I've wasted so much time and it's not going well. Back to back 5 mistake is something very bad. And these days, these 2 streams back to back on GMAT, sentence correction and critical reasoning has been total failure. I would like to see what will happen with the data sufficiency. So if this turns out to be a fail as well, I'll take some time to read these materials and try to come back with some, because I think my knowledge is quite narrow while analyzing all the problems, and it's not sufficient to actually look at the question with some random thinking, like okay, predicting something without the analyzed mindset. I don't think so. It's smart to just taking the attempt on the questions. So I'll try to be a little bit smart. Till then, I'm not coming back to either of sentence correction or critical reasoning. That's it.